Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking 6 key trends that are completely reshaping how you spend your money, all based on a really fascinating analysis from Payments Dive. And let me tell you, this isn't some far-off future. This stuff is happening way faster than you might think.
Okay, let's start with a simple idea, but one that has some massive implications. What if a personal AI agent could not just find, but actually buy your next pair of shoes for you without you even lifting a finger?
This isn't science fiction anymore. It's actually the result of these powerful new trends we're about to walk through. We're going to cover everything from AI shoppers and digital dollars to the huge battles raging over fees, and of course, the ever-present threat of fraud. All right, let's get into it.
So, the first massive shift is the arrival of what the industry's calling agentic commerce. Basically, a world where AI-powered bots do all the heavy lifting of shopping for us.
I mean, think about it. Seamless, automated purchasing agents. This is exactly why giants like Amazon, Visa, and Google are pouring billions into this tech. They see a future where the whole headache of the checkout process it pretty much disappears.
But this new world immediately brings up some huge questions. Like, how are we supposed to know which agents to trust with our money? Are we going to see an agent store with 5-star reviews, kind of like the App Store? And this is a big one. How will these AI agents pay for the millions of tiny bits of data they need to do their job? They're going to need a whole new kind of payment system, one that's built for machines to pay other machines.
And this AI intelligence, it isn't just for finding you the right products. It's also about to fundamentally change how you pay for them at that exact moment you hit buy.
Yeah, companies like Stripe and PayPal are already building these intelligent checkouts that look at your past behavior to suggest the best way for you to pay right there and then. You could even tell your AI agent, hey, always use the card that gets me the most travel points.
So here's the kicker. For these AI agents to really work on a global scale, making millions of those tiny machine-to-machine payments we just talked about, which experts call microtransactions, they need a totally new kind of money. And this quote from Mesh's CEO, it perfectly sets up our next big trend.
So let's talk about stablecoins, and you'll see how this all connects. Far from being some niche crypto thing, they are now getting ready to become the essential infrastructure, the digital backbone, for this entire new way of doing business.
To put it really simply, a stablecoin is just a digital token that's pegged to a stable asset, like the US dollar. The whole point is to make it way easier and cheaper to move money around, especially across borders. You're basically turning traditional money into a digital token that you can send instantly.
And listen, this is not a fringe idea anymore. In the US, the passage of the Genius Act created clear rules of the road. And with that federal framework in place, it gave banks and major players like Fiserv and PayPal the green light they needed to really jump into this space.
But it's not a completely smooth ride. Analysts like Lily Varon over at Forrester are quick to point out some major problems, like a really clunky user experience and, frankly, a lack of public trust after some high-profile failures in the past. There's still a ton of hype that needs to be sorted from what's actually real.
Okay, so while all these futuristic payment systems are being built, some of the oldest, most intense fights in the industry are hitting a boiling point. I am talking about the long-simmering war over the fees you pay every single time you swipe a credit card.
For years, merchants and the big credit card networks, Visa, MasterCard, have been locked in this bitter fight over something called interchange fees. Merchants say they're way too high, while the networks argue they're absolutely essential for security and innovation.
Now, what's really wild is that this isn't just business as usual. 3 separate, massive events are all happening this year that could totally upend the whole system. You've got a controversial legal settlement that big retailers are fighting tooth and nail, a huge government antitrust lawsuit, and a long-awaited decision from the Federal Reserve. Any one of those would be big. All 3 at once could be a genuine earthquake for the industry. And just to give you a sense of the scale here, the proposed settlement would cut rates by just 10 basis points on average. Now, a basis point is just 1/100th of a percentage point, so it sounds tiny, right? 1/10 of a percent? But in a system that processes trillions of dollars, that small number represents billions of dollars changing hands.
So all of this change is happening while the regulatory landscape is literally shifting under everyone's feet. It's creating this really complex, sometimes confusing new map for financial tech companies to try and figure out.
Here's what's happening. A major shift in federal policy means the powerful Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, is shrinking. That's left a vacuum.
and aggressive states like California and New York are rushing in to fill it. They're creating their own patchwork of rules for things like buy now, pay later services, new data privacy laws. It means companies now have to navigate this maze of different rules state by state.
And finally, woven through every single one of these trends, the AI, the new currencies, the regulatory fights, is the one constant threat that only gets bigger and more complicated with new technology: fraud.
And this statistic really just drives home the scale of the problem. I mean, look at that chart. A staggering 3 out of every 4 companies, that's 75%, were targeted by payments fraud just last year.
And it's not going away. Actually, the speed of modern instant payments and the rise of all these new digital assets have created a perfect storm for fraudsters. At the same time, legitimate privacy concerns often make it harder for banks and companies to work together to fight back.
So when you connect all the dots here, the AI agents, the personalized checkouts, the stablecoin plumbing, those fee wars, the changing regulations, and the constant threat of fraud, you realize this isn't just about faster or easier payments. This is a fundamental revolution in how commerce itself actually works. Which leads us to the final and maybe the most important question in all of this. As your money becomes more intelligent, more automated, and more invisible, who are you really handing control to?